Welcome back to WCBI Sunrise. It is 6:38. Aside from the regular local headlines, a lot has happened this week. We had a hurricane make landfall in parts of Texas. We had severe weather of our own. What else happened? Politics. Plus, the debate on Confederate monuments has now reached our schools. A lot to talk about, I know. So let's get to the top 4 and 4 countdown right now. First, let's start with something a little fun, because believe it or not, as much as you get depressed when you watch the news, I get just as depressed telling it to you. Starting with the headline number 4, the MTV Video Music Awards were on this past Sunday. And fun fact, I picked this headline because I actually stayed up to watch these award shows, and by default though, because I couldn't sleep that night and nothing else was on. But the MTV Video Music Awards are known for creating viral moments meant to shock or amaze. But this year's show was a much more grown-up affair that was full of important speeches, exciting performances, and pop culture events. Several award presenters Sunday night called for equality, including the mother of the woman who was killed while protesting white supremacists in Charlottesville, Virginia, and a descendant of Confederate General Robert E. Lee. Other artists reached out to those suffering from depression. Pink taught her daughter a valuable lesson of self-acceptance. To put it all together, the night was pretty magical. And finally, Kendrick Lamar, the night's big winner, set the stage ablaze at the beginning of the show, while Taylor Swift said goodbye to her reputation in a new music video. And speaking of bad blood, it turns out that is a Taylor Swift song. I Googled it. So hashtag nailed it. But Republicans from New York and New Jersey are pledging unconditional support for those devastated by Hurricane Harvey, but their resentment does linger. Here's headline number 3. As historic floods wreaked havoc across the Gulf Coast, Northeastern Republicans recalled with painful detail the days after Superstorm Sandy ravaged their region in 2012. At the time, Texas Republican lawmakers, led by Senator Ted Cruz, overwhelmingly opposed a disaster relief package they argued was packed with wasteful spending. The debate delayed the passage of the Sandy relief package by several weeks, and 5 years later, another powerful natural disaster hits. And those same Northeastern Republicans are saying to Congress, not this time. Don't let 5 years ago happen now. Hopefully those devastated by Harvey will get the help they need right away, this time without delay. And we'll talk more about Harvey coming up in just a bit, but here is headline number 2. A Mississippi school district where 97% of the students are black will review whether to rename 3 elementary schools that honor Confederate leaders. A committee of the Jackson Public Schools Board will examine whether to change the names in Mississippi's capital city. Davis Magnet School is named for Jefferson Davis, who was president of the Confederacy. George Elementary is named for James Zachariah George, who signed Mississippi's secession ordinance and drafted the state constitution that denied voting rights to black citizens. Lee Elementary is named for Confederate General Robert E. Lee. It's not just in Mississippi public schools, though. Around the nation, school districts are grappling with whether to remove the names or images of Confederate figures, especially since some of these institutions are now filled with students of color. The move comes following the violence at a white nationalist rally that is over a Robert E. Lee statue in Charlottesville, Virginia. There are more than 100 public schools honoring Confederate generals and politicians from the Old South. Well, Harvey and its destruction is the topic of our number 1 headline. No surprise there. The Texas Department of Public Safety reports that more than 37,000 homes have sustained major damage and nearly 7,000 have been destroyed by Harvey and its flooding. Now, those figures released Thursday come from a daily damage estimate compiled from reports by local officials, and the figures have been rising. Harris County, which includes Houston, reports that nearly 30,000 homes suffered minor damage and nearly 12,000 have major damage. Harvey initially came ashore as a Category 4 hurricane in Texas on Friday, then went back out to sea and lingered off the coast as a tropical storm for days, inundating flooding-prone Houston. And to make matters worse, a Houston area chemical plant that lost power after Harvey flooded the area has been rocked by 2 explosions. Arkema Inc. says the Harris County Emergency Operations Center reported 2 explosions and black smoke coming from the plant at around 2 a.m. Thursday. The Harris County Sheriff's Office says 10 deputies have been hospitalized, and the death toll from Harvey is expected to climb after surpassing 30 on Wednesday. Well, it's heartbreaking to see the suffering that's going on in Texas. We here in the Golden Triangle are all too familiar with the devastation that comes after a natural disaster strikes. We just went through it last night. And if you would like to help the families in Texas, or maybe even the families here, or maybe both, go to the United Way, go to the Red Cross or the Salvation Army. You can make a tax-deductible donation. It's quick and it's easy, and trust me, any little amount that you can give will make a difference. We'll have more Sunrise coming up after the break.